everybody, and welcome to World Talks. We're at the Warsaw Security Forum here in Warsaw, obviously, and I'm now joined by the fifth President of Georgia, Salome Zourabichvili. Madam President, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, the local elections are just around the corner. What is at stake in these elections, and what are you expecting?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing is at stake, and nothing is to be expected, because those pseudo-elections are held after we've had last year's parliamentary elections, which, as we all know, were under very serious interference by Russia and very serious manipulation, both by local authorities and Russian technologies of different kind. A little bit what we have seen now in Moldova, and now our partners discovered that what we were saying was so completely true. And so the situation since then, since the parliamentary elections, has only deteriorated in terms of legislation and control, total control by the ruling party over the Electoral Commission and everything that you need for decent elections. So my advice to the political parties at the time when these discussions started was just to ignore the elections. Well, they started having discussion about whether participating or not. Finally, nobody practically is participating, and those that are participating are doing so under pressure of the authorities. Two of the leaders of the parties that is participating have been in jail, and they have been released essentially in order to participate. So nothing to expect, but much to expect from the protest on the streets, because people are going to protest this parody of elections and reiterate that they want a change of regime, they want new elections, new democratic elections in which we can decently fight and hope to see the voice of the Georgian people to be reflected.
The protesters are still calling for another round of parliamentary elections.
They have been calling for that. It has been very peaceful protest for now 308 days without any stop, without any change of mind, and that shows something that is not always in the Georgian character, which is very steady and resilient. Resilience has been in the character, but this steady protest is something a little bit new, and new in many countries. I don't think that we have many things to compare to.
Do you think that these protests are going to gain speed? Are they going to become bigger than they've been over the summer and the previous months?
That's what I expect. And especially we have this date of the 4th of October that has been set for major protest, but we have also other dates that are coming. It's the date of the last year's elections on the 28th of September, and then we have this, what started really this peaceful and relentless protest, and it was a declaration of the Prime Minister to turn our back on Europe and turn 180 degrees towards the old occupier and today's occupier, Russia.
Yes. Now, there are attempts of the opposition to ban the opposition, political parties. Would that mean essentially the total consolidation of power in Georgia and the end of democracy?
No, it would be an attempt by the authorities to go one step further in the consolidation of power. They are already in jail practically, if not all the leaders of the opposition parties. 80% of them are in jail. That has not changed the situation on the streets. And it's a little bit like they're targeting there and it's coming out on the other side. This civil society is very resilient, and it has shown so over the months and months in very difficult times. And one should look at the fact that these people that are protesting peacefully, they are hit very hardly by fines, which are very high, by repressions that hit their family, target their jobs. So it's really heroic to be standing on the streets these days. And it's not going to be easy, and just banning old political parties is not going to change anything because new political parties are emerging. So,
are being formed. The Constitutional Court is to decide, I believe in October, whether to ban the United National Movement and some of its allies. Would that give all the power to Georgia Dream? Will the court bend in this direction?
the Constitutional Court, as it did in my case, first when there was the impeachment, but then the Parliament did not vote it, so it didn't go through. But the Constitutional Court showed that it was completely devoted to the ruling party and did whatever it was expected. In the same way, the Constitutional Court refused to examine the plea that I presented and that the political parties on their side presented in December after the elections to contest the elections under two principles that were violated and that we then have brought to Strasbourg. Discrimination, because the diaspora was not allowed to vote properly, and the transparency of the voting ballots, which was also not respected. And the Constitutional Court did not even examine the pleas, which shows the level of difference that they have to the decisions of the ruling party. So nothing to be expected from the Constitutional Court, but direct application of what they are asked to do, and they will do it. But as I said, just banning the political parties will not change the street protests. On the contrary, it might give them even more life. And it will not change the fact that there are new structures that are emerging from these street protests. Like in many other countries, there is a new political life that is a bit different from what we have known until now. And that is really adding to the liveliness of this protest movement.
Certainly. Now, final question. Many in Europe say that this is an internal Georgian struggle, but is there anything that the European Union can do?
Well, first of all, it's not an internal political crisis and it's not an internal issue. It is Russia testing in Georgia its new hybrid war. The war in Ukraine that Russia has not been able to win is, in my view, I'm not making predictions, but is, in my view, the last of these type of wars, military, typically and only military wars. We are entering a new phase, which is a phase of hybrid wars, and in which, as it was the case in 2008 and in 1993, Georgia is again the testing ground for Russia. And we are being tested for hybrid war through elections, through propaganda, through this ruling party that is deferent to Russian instructions or advices or methodology. And that is what we're going to cyber attacks. All of that together is something that if it works in Georgia, it's going to be applied elsewhere. And we have seen the attempts in other countries. It's a global issue. It's not a local issue. I don't know what can be done today in terms of concrete support, but I think that understanding attention to what's happening and understanding that what is happening to Georgia can happen anywhere and without the need of common borders is something that will reinforce the strengths of our partners and hence our strengths.
Okay, we'll be watching the developments in Georgia very carefully, and we wish you the best of luck in this fight for democracy.
Your attention is needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Salome Zourabichvili, President of Georgia, thank you so much for joining us here on TVP World. And that's all the time we have here on World Talks. Thank you for joining us, and stay with us for more here on TVP World.